Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Kent Tilley, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of the biggest financial decisions a lot of Canadians need to make, and that is what to do with your pension if you get laid off or you change jobs or something, and you're leaving an employer that had a defined benefit pension plan. I'm going to go over an example that was actually on our desk, a couple days ago, because these are real numbers. This is a very simple example of what this can look like. A lot of times it's more complicated than this because a pension might be indexed to inflation. There might be 2 or up to 3 different cash sort of values with choices. So you might have, let's say, a portion that has to go into a lira or stay in the pension, plus a portion that can roll over into your RSP, plus another cash portion that you can choose what to do with. And usually you have to take that out, pay the withholding tax, pay the income tax on top of that if you owe it, and then roll it back into your RSP and see which way it works out. When interest rates were lower, taking the pension value and moving it into a lira actually made more mathematical sense than it does today, because the value on paper to create that pension, because interest rates were so low, was a lot higher. So right now, if you see the commuted value of your pension, it might be lower than it was on last year's statement, and that is why. This is a huge decision. At the end of the day, what the actuaries are trying to do is make it so this is like working out to average like levels. So either way that you do it is, going to kind of work out the same. You never know which one is going to work out better. But one of the big problems with pension transfers, not in this case I'm going to show you, but a lot of the times this is a big chunk of retirement savings, sometimes hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You walk in to talk to an advisor, well, they're obviously going to recommend that you move the pension into your own investments, even if it's potentially against your best interest, because they're going to make a whole bunch of money if you do this. So there's kind of a conflict of interest in actually the advice that you might be getting when you're making this decision. So I might preface that by saying this would be like a perfect opportunity for you to utilize the $500 financial plan. We can show you all of the reasons why, mathematically, how you can decide which one is the right one for you, plus taking the other considerations into account, plus actually building a retirement plan on top of this, because you no longer have this defined benefit pension plan. So just a plug for the $500 plan. Let's get into this scenario and I'll talk to you guys about it. It's a very simple one. My writing's a little weird on this remarkable, but that's okay. You can still read it. As a 35-year-old female, her retirement date as far as the pension is concerned, and this isn't necessarily her retirement date, but for this pension's, as far as it's concerned, is 65. Now she has to make a choice. She can keep the money in the pension and get $895 a month, or take $38,665 today and move that into a lira, which is a locked-in retirement account. It's basically like an RSP, except you can't take the money out of it until retirement age. There's less flexibility, and you can't actually add to this account either. So in this case, and usually when I do this, I'll do like, if you live till 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and then show different rates of return. But in this case, I wanted to make it simple for you guys. So today in 2023, the average life expectancy of a female in Canada is about 83 years old. So what we have to do when we're doing the math on these things is work backwards. So we have to say, okay, we've got 18 years in between 65 and 83 years old. this $895 is a flat amount. It's not indexed to inflation. So how much money does she need to be able to create that type of taxable income for those 18 years? And then we'll look at a few different scenarios of rates of return. So if she got 3%, she's going to need to have $149,235 from the $38,000 by the time she's 35 to 65. 4%, she's going to need $137,650, 5%, $127,305, and 6%, $118,049. Obviously, if you walk into an advisor and they're like, you're guaranteed going to get 7.5% or 8% with me, then it's always going to look like it's going to work out in your favor. But do they always get that? No, they don't. So that's why I actually show different scenarios. Okay, so now we know that. So then you say, okay, well, what are these different things going to grow to over those 30 years? So from 35 to 65, how much is $38,665 going to grow to at 3%, 4%, and so on? So at 3%, it's going to grow to $93,850. If she gets 3%, she's lost, quite a bit of money. She's going to have, this is not working well at 3%. And this is what I'm talking about before. The average before, when interest rates were super low, when I would kind of run these numbers, was like, if as long as you can get like 3.5% or greater, you're basically going to be better off taking the pension. But now it's not as easy. This isn't as easy of a conversation anymore. At 4%, it's getting a little bit closer to even. So 125,406 is what she'd have at 65. But in order to create that same income stream, she needs 137. So she's about 12,000 short. Now keep in mind, if she lives below the average life expectancy, then it might work out better, even if she gets 4%. But if she lives past life expectancy, that's going to work even worse. Like the pension, the longer she lives is the better scenario in almost every case, because it's supposed to last forever. Now 5%, we're getting into winning territory. So what she's going to need is somewhere in the fours. So she would have 167,108, and all she needed to fund that was 127,305. So potentially living more. Usually I would plan this out till 90 as well, but in this case I just wanted to show the average life expectancy. And then 6%, she'd have $222,072, which is way more than what she'd need. So, she could live quite a while on that income stream. Now that's just part one of the conversation that you have to have. There are many other considerations when you're thinking about should you take your pension. So the biggest one in my mind is control. So for me, I would always take control of the money. But that's me, and I'm comfortable with the ups and downs of the market, and I would always invest aggressively for the long term and know that it's a long-term scenario and hope that this is the best choice. It may not be, but I made that decision very easily myself, because now I have control of the money. Once I get to retirement age, I can choose, when I'm going to start my LIRA. Am I going to unlock half of it, when I can? Am I going to move that into my RSP? What am I going to do with that? And then the biggest big failure rate is sometimes with private companies. They have these pension plans in place and they fully intend to stay in business and keep going, but more often than not, companies sometimes struggle over the decades and fail, and your pension is no longer solvent, and all of a sudden you actually don't have that money anymore, where you can't have that risk if you take it and invest it yourself. Sorry. Now, there are other people that just like really are not very good at handling the ups and downs of the market, the emotional ups and downs. In that case, you know, unless I feel like your pension has like an actual pretty good chance of insolvency, then I might say you might be better off just leaving it there and saying, this is better for you. We can incorporate that 800 and some dollars into your retirement plan. That's totally fine. It's really easy to do, and you can just set it and forget it, and you don't have to worry about it. So, and then, you know, so longevity is a big factor with any pension. You know, if you don't think you're going to live a long time, you may as well take the money. But if you do think you're going to live till 100, your mom, your grandma, everybody in your family live till 100, keeping it in the pension can make a lot of sense. And then lastly, there is the estate consideration. So if you have a pension partner, well, your pension partner is going to get, you know, 100% or 60% of this payout for the remainder of their life. But if you guys both pass away, you know, and I've heard stories like this where maybe you guys both pass away at 70, you have kids, you know, you would have these massive pensions that were worth a whole bunch of money on paper, but your family doesn't get any money. But if you had them in a lira, well, at least they're going to get that money after tax into the estate. So there are those considerations when it comes to, you know, estate planning, what you would want to happen, who are your beneficiaries, do you have a spouse that would be a pension partner, so on and so forth. So hopefully that makes sense. You know, thank you guys again for watching. If you haven't, please like and subscribe, and we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Cheers.